Hey everyone, Mr. P, Mr. Dave, and Mr. Jethro. We are the Geeky guys, and we're just taking a quick look into Ahsoka. And this time we're looking at part 4, episode 4, called Fallen Jedi.
That's right.
So we talked last time. Episode 3 was them going to the planet. This is, of course, Ahsoka and Sabine to find the map, which potentially could tell them the path that Grand Admiral Thrawn went, and of course their good friend whose name escapes me right now.
Ezra Bridger.
Thank you, Ezra Bridger.
I just think of Ezra Miller.
Ezra, yeah. So Ezra Bridger, yes, because he basically at the end of Rebels. He kind of sacrifices himself, but not quite. We don't see him die. Spoilers. But him and the whales, the space whales, kind of attach themselves to the ship to try and stop Thrawn, and they all end up disappearing off to a different galaxy. But that's something we'll come to later on.
Far away.
So if they find this map, theoretically they can follow those coordinates and potentially find them. But it's sort of that we briefly touched on this last time. If they find Thrawn, they might find Ezra, but then Thrawn might come back, and if he comes back, there's a chance that all these rogue elements of the Empire that are left are going to get together under him, and it's going to be this big threat to the Republic again. So
bad stuff.
So bad stuff.
Bad times.
But again, a lot in this episode, because not only do we see Ahsoka and Sabine on the planet fixing the ship and trying to find the map, but we've also got Hera, who risks her career to try and get help, and then sets off regardless because she wants to help them, and goes anyway.
The word is no.
So I am therefore going anyway. We ought to get a Star Trek line in there somewhere, didn't we, Mr. Jethro?
Well, we got in the last one.
Yeah.
Breaking command. And all
What's
that.
the word, Captain? The word is no. I am therefore going anyway. And if you know where that's from, put a comment.
We do get some nice lightsaber battles in this episode as well, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if you've noticed, like the colour of the lightsabers. That for again, what's the main Jedi's? The main Sith's name.
Baylan Skoll.
Yes,
Baylan Skoll.
His lightsaber is like red, but it's ever so slightly. Like if you look on that the RGB scale, it's ever so slightly magenta. It's ever so slightly shifted, and the Padawan. Again,
Shin Hati.
Yes, with hers is red, but shifted ever so slightly orange. So they're not the same red. So at a glance, or like between them, you can tell whose is whose ever so slightly. So it's not just like red, green, blue, or pink if you're Samuel Jackson.
Purple.
Purple.
Yeah, purple, didn't he? Somebody else.
Or is pink, purple, magenta.
Purple, magenta.
Yeah, it's that sort of colour.
Anyway,
yeah.
I think it's interesting anyway that the ships in Star Wars fire the wrong colours for the guns. So like the good guys fire red, but the bad guys fire green on the actual rocket fire.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
Yeah, the lightsaber's the other way round. But you're right, we do get a couple of lightsaber battles in this one, including, of course, the Padwans. And we talked about the Padwans last video. So Shin Hati actually takes on Sabine.
Sabine, yeah.
And I like that fight. It was pretty good.
It was like clumsy. It was like a bit rough, a bit
Clumsy, visceral, rough,
yeah,
sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's what you would expect in sort of, those old karate movies where they're trying to train them and they say, no, go on, into the middle, off you go. You go into the middle, off you go. And then they start doing it. And it's okay, but it's not polished because they're not quite there yet with their training. So they're both making mistakes. I think that Sabine started maybe a little bit worse for wear, got more confident.
Yeah.
And for me, I think Shin Hati was like, oh dear, she's got a bit more confident. But then towards the end, it was kind of evenly balanced, I would say.
Yeah. I think it's the struggle as well that Shin seems to be much more at one with the Force, whereas Sabine, it doesn't come naturally to her, and she's still trying to develop those.
She's had more
Force
training,
abilities.
don't forget. So Shin's been trained by Baylan for what we imagine is quite some time. Certainly all the way through this series and a little bit before, whereas obviously Sabine's only just started again. So she's going to be rusty, but we don't quite know how much she knows, if that makes sense, before the story begins. We know she was trained in Rebels and she was training her, but we don't always know to the extent of where she got, really. So they can kind of take a little bit of, creative license with that.
And of course you got the big epic battle between Baylan and Ahsoka, which is the Masters, which is the main big fight of the episode, isn't it?
Yeah, and again we talked about this last episode. The way that Ahsoka is very confident and calm. And to be fair, when you watch that battle, even Baylan is the same.
Until sometime later on when... Because they go off and do their own fight. And then when he sees Sabine come out, but... my memory's a sieve.
Shin.
Yeah, her. But she doesn't. He sort of like loses his cool. And then just...
His anger takes over.
Anger.
And we all know where that goes, don't we? Leads to the dark side of the Force.
As if the red lightsaber wasn't a cloak.
What, the black cloak?
Yeah.
You do kind of have that feeling as well. There's certain comments made during the series so far where you kind of find that Baylan's got a little bit of empathy towards the Jedi. So whether kind of he went along a path and diverted more towards the Sith at some point, you kind of get that feeling that maybe he was a bit closer to the Jedi earlier on in his life.
If only a Sith deals in absolutes, which is ironic because that statement is an absolute, but he's not.
He's almost resigned to the fact that this is what I am now. Yeah. I get that impression. It's like something's happened, I've ended up here, this is me.
Well, it's the thing, isn't it? During Order 66, you've got ones that like go into hiding, you've got ones that try and battle and fight against it, and a lot of them are killed or taken out. And then you've probably got a few that went, if you can't beat them, join them, and ended up becoming Sith. So there's probably a few Jedi that went rogue and went the other way, went more dark side.
So it was out of necessity, not necessarily out of needs to do it.
Survival, basically. Yeah, how to survive.
So pragmatism, which sort of sums up his character in a way.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
No, I like that, yeah.
Now let's just have another just quick thing. This is the first time we see Hayden Christensen, of course. Yes, we do.
In this one?
In this one. Only for a very, very brief second. So...
of course, no, I'm an idiot, yeah.
I remember that she hears his voice.
Yeah. You're not an idiot. You're thinking of the great meeting in the next episode we're going to talk about.
Just blurs together.
He only very, very briefly on screen, but he's there. And that for that moment, it was like, ooh, what are they going to do now? Well, we know now because we've got the next episode. But it was like, wow, where are they going to take this? We know he's now come back to film something. How much is this filmed? Where are they going to go with it? And at the point when we watched this episode, part 4, it was exciting. It was like, ooh. It was only a brief, bit of a teaser.
And I know we've said in the past as well, haven't we, about, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen haven't had a lot of love and thought of that much since the prequels. We always said it'd be nice to get them back in some way and reprise those roles, and obviously eventually they've got to the point down the line where they've been able to pick up those roles again. Yeah. Which has been really good and really nice to see.
Well, I mean, this is the first time. This episode is the first time we see those two characters live action on screen together.
Yeah.
And I mean, wow! What a quick taster of what was to come in the next episode, which we're going to talk about in the next video. But
I've got a bit of a criticism for the episode.
Go on.
Like later on when we see with Sabine having the little Rubik's cube.
We talked about this the other day, didn't we? Can I just explain what that is? Because we've not really explained. We've said map. So the map is actually a sphere, like a globe. And it was a bit like you said, a Rubik's Cube, where it has to be deciphered and then unlocked to get the map, which has been done in a previous episode. Sabine did it herself, actually. She managed to unlock it. And Sabine and Ahsoka have travelled to the planet to get the map and
but they also mention in the episode that it kind of needs a sister of Dathomir, like with a bit of magic to open it fully, and to use it to its full potential.
So that's happened, and this map's been shown, and we'll come back to your point in a minute, if that's what you're going to say. What we talked about the other day.
I mentioned it in the review of the
episode 1
the first 2 episodes, where it's just sort of like you just need someone with a Rubik's cube to and put it together. It just for something just I don't know. But that aside, the scene where you have Sabine have the Rubik's cube. I'm just going to call it.
You're just going to call it a Rubik's cube. Can we call it the map, maybe?
I prefer Rubik's cube.
Okay.
Even though it's a sphere. No, Rubik's
Geek
sphere. Where you have have that, and then what's his face? Hold again. Memory's a Sith, right?
Balin.
Yeah, him. Holding Ahsoka is like, oh no, let her go, and no, if you don't let her go, I'll destroy the map, and they end up that this whole thing of the inexperienced person, not save loads of people in order to save their friend. I think that's it's a trope that's done to death, and I find it's a bit predictable, and it for a scene that is quite predictable, it did go on a bit.
I see what you're saying. I mean,
that's as harsh as I'm going to be.
So, just to put a bit more padding around that a little bit and a bit more explanation. So, Sabine's got this map in her hand. She picks it up when Ahsoka is fighting Balin. And she puts a gun to it. She can blow it up there and then. And if she blows this map up, they can never go to find Thrawn. They can never bring him back, or at least not for the foreseeable. But it also potentially cuts off finding Ezra Bridger as well. And Ahsoka at this point has been struck down. So during this battle, Ahsoka is struck off the cliff and she's gone, and we don't know what's happened to her. Sabine obviously must think the worst. She's now stuck with this map, and a gun. And you're saying that it's a bit too obvious that she's just going to give up and give him the map. And he said, give me the map and we might be able to find your friend Ezra and bring him back. And she knows that by doing this, it might bring Thrawn back, but she's going to do it anyway, give him the map because she wants to find Ezra.
And at this point, she thinks Ahsoka's gone anyway.
She does, but it's sort of... If you've watched Rebels, Ahsoka, or in Clone Wars, Anakin would train Ahsoka. She would always go off and do her own thing anyway. She'd never listen. She always did her own thing anyway, and always ended up getting into all kinds of bother. And that's part of the fun of it. And in Rebels, they kind of did the same thing. So when Ahsoka's trying to train Sabine would always go off and do her own thing, get into trouble anyway, and never listen. It's like a recurring theme. So in this episode, the one thing she said is, we cannot let them have the map. If it gets to it, you've got to destroy the map, because better that than have Thrawn come back and create a new empire again. So what does she do? As you said, very probably, what's the word? Obviously, she gives him the map because she thinks she might get to Ezra. You're right, it does go on a bit, but I'm going to let them off for that. I think I know you're not happy with that, Jethro, but I'm going to let them off just because I think they need to go there, because they're going to have to go and follow this map somehow, aren't they?
Well, they need to do that, which I get, but I think that's a case of just forcing an event to happen, or making an event happen because you need the next event to happen, as opposed to that event really working.
Yeah. I actually spoke to you about this the other day, and I said that I thought at one point, and maybe I need a rewatch, but I thought at one point what Ahsoka had picked up the thing and it had burned her hand slightly because it was hot, and she'd gone, and I thought what was going to happen was they were going to destroy the map and she was going to look at the one on her hand to use it to decipher where to go. A little bit, it's a little bit Indiana Jones, but I thought that's where they were going to go with it. I honestly did. And in the end they did, just like you say, she just handed it over.
It's interesting as well, there's kind of still the talk going off in the background as to whether they're going to bring a character from the Jedi Fallen Order series into the Ahsoka series because it's set around the same sort of period in time. You've kind of got in those games, they've kind of had a similar sort of storyline where it's been about a map. In the second game, it's like a holocron of like a map of force sensitives in the galaxy, and unlike the other one, and both sides fighting over control of those things. So there is a question of whether they will bring the lead character Kel Kestis, who's a Jedi, into this series or not. I'm going to say it sounds like at the moment maybe not because it's not leaked, but maybe season 2 if they do a season 2.
You never know. I mean, let's face it, like we said in the previous video when we explained about Order 66, there are other Jedi out there.
Yeah.
You know, and there's no reason why you can't bring some of those in.
Well, yeah, we had that in Obi-Wan with the hidden path, didn't we? And, you know, getting Jedi to safety.
Speaking of Obi-Wan, it's interesting that, just reading a bit of trivia, Ahsoka and Balin's duel, it said they sort of say it's rather similar to Obi-Wan and Darth Maul.
Right, yeah.
As seen in Twin Sons, with them changing stances each time before the engaging. And we talked last time about the fact it was very calm, they were very collected until the end.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this episode pretty much is... you know, Ahsoka's been struck down. The bad guys have got the map, and are going to use it to jump to another galaxy, which we've never done in Star Wars before. It was one of George Lucas's rules. This is a galaxy far, far away, but it is a galaxy. We stay within this galaxy. We don't go anywhere else. So they're now going to leap to another galaxy.
And obviously General Syndulla's trying to... get herself and a few of the old Republic loyalists to come with her to try and get to the planet in time to save Ahsoka and Sabine and stop these Empire.
There's no Empire getting together. So we are going to spoiler alert this, I take it. This is a complete spoiler alert. The whole thing is really... So basically... Hera, she does get there with some of her X-wings, just in time to see all the bad guys actually take that jump and go. So almost too late. So we end this episode kind of thinking, how are they going to get there? What's going to happen next? Ahsoka's been struck down into the sea. Sabine's been taken with the bad guys, with Balin and the others off to another galaxy. They've got no map because it's been destroyed. What did they do? And to find out, we'll have to watch the next episode, which is part 5.
Yes.
And we'll be talking about it in our next video. So join us then. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.